So I got this comment from a guy named Psychic Duck, basically losing his shit because I said, yes, Farlight 84 and Apex Legends are super similar. Feel free to call Farlight 84 a clone. However, here go a few reasons as to why you should still play it, even if you do feel like it's a clone. That was the video. For some reason, that just set this man off. So to Psychic, I like to say to you, with all of my heart, suck my dick. To preface, every game you see in this video, I have no problem with. Most of them I've played and enjoyed myself. And in no way, shape, or form do I have an issue with the game or their developers. Just want to clear that up right now. Now, ever since Farlight 84's launch, people have been calling it an Apex Legends ripoff and clone. And I get it. But after hearing it over and over and over again, it made me wonder, why didn't more people consider something like Delta Force a straight clone of Battlefield, or vice versa? Or Bloodstrike a ripoff of COD Mobile with Apex Movement? And then that started to lead me down other genres. Like when you think Hades, how many clones of that game was created since Hades has been out? Or even like Resident Evil, the new style Resident Evil, and the old camera angle style. It seems like when it comes to those particular games, people label them heavily inspired. Now this thought has been on my mind for a few days, and I just wanted to ask you guys a question. If there are games considered to be taking inspiration from other games, and games that are considered to be flat out clones, what's the deciding factors that create the line between the two? Or does that line even really exist? Now, me personally, after talking to my chat and other creators, something many of us felt, myself included, was this. If someone really likes a game, they call it heavily inspired. And if someone really hates a game, they call it a clone. It literally boiled down to that simple. I reached this conclusion because I asked several people this question. And if someone felt a game was inspired by other games, they'd say the UI, the animations, the inventory system, stuff like that are what makes it heavily inspired. But then when I asked, okay, well, what makes a game a clone? The answer would be, you guessed it, the UI, the animations, the inventory system, stuff like that, i.e., the exact same thing. And there's really only one way I can think of something having the same answer for two opposing sides, and that is, well, preference. When you really like a game, you don't want to call it a clone because that word is considered negative in the gaming space. And if you hate it, you don't want to say heavily inspired because clone already gets your point across that your thought on the game is kind of a negative one. Now, am I saying there's no clones out there? Absolutely not. I'm well aware there are, but I do find it unfair people pick and choose what gets this label simply based off opinion only, when in actuality, the only way a game could technically be considered a clone is if code or assets were stolen and used to create another game that isn't developed by the original developers. Commercial break. Welcome to Game Deal of the Day, where I tell you about a game that is on sale for the cheap on Steam right now, except this game is not on sale yet because it's just a demo, and that game is Black Ops 7. I'm kidding, I'm joking, I'm not serious. Anywho, the game is actually called It Has My Face. Now, this demo is an absolute must play. Basically, you pull out a mirror to see what you look like, then you go find the person who looks just like you and switch his ass down. That is the full premise of this game, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's being developed by a very small team and actually being published by the same guys that brought you Dead by Daylight. I highly recommend you add this game to your wish list and try out this demo because, again, this game is fun as the F word. Okay, so go do that and back to our regular scheduled stuff. Okay, bye. There has to be some sort of patent or copyright infringement to truly be considered a clone. Like we look at Nintendo versus the Power World devs and that whole lawsuit. Now, many felt the characters looked just like some type of Pokemon. Pokemon with guns was the game's label, but though the characters look similar, it wasn't enough to win a suit. So then, Nintendo alleges that Pocket Pair stole gameplay mechanics with the similarities into how you catch the creatures and some other shit. Go read the article. And by doing so, Pocket Pair has had to make changes to the game to align with the suit in order to keep the game going. Now let's take a quick second and talk boomer shooters. These games are damn near always one-to-one ripoffs of each other. Same low frame rate on the character, same kind of map/arena design. Same old weird, wacky ass weapons. Same old kind of animations. Same over the top, crazy, speedy movement. All of this is beyond similar, but the majority will label these heavily inspired games. And I almost forgot one of the biggest games that's considered quote unquote heavily inspired and not cloned. Five Nights at Freddy's. This game has hundreds upon hundreds of quote unquote fan-made, aka heavily inspired games that are full one-to-one ripoffs of Five Nights at Freddy's, but nobody calls them clones. Again, they're just called fan-made games. Anywho's. Now let's take a quick look at Sworn as an example. Sworn is one of those, I mean, literally just kind of looks like Hades. No offense, right? It looks fun, but when you look at it, at least for me, that's what I see. I see Hades. In any case, people who love the game say, hey, if you want a Hades multiplayer experience, look no further. A very heavily inspired tone, at least to me. Now, if they don't like it, then it's simply a Hades clone with co-op, just a blatant clone tone. And these are the two types of comments, though, you know, some variation, that you see amongst the reviews on this game. Again, it's falling under preference, and preference is what dictates which side it'll fall on, not from an objective stance, but a subjective one. Now, I don't discount a person's feelings. If you feel it, I respect it. But this video isn't about feelings, it's more so about the facts. And feelings don't really equal facts. Now, my last question I'd like to pose is, how do we break this cycle of wanting a game similar to a game that we love, but then when something comes out that is similar, it's just considered a clone and will be dead in 3 months? Then, because people love overly trolling in these comments and on these videos, somehow that usually happens with these games, and then they go back to playing the original game, and after playing the original game for a while, the cycle restarts with wanting something similar again, rinse and repeat. It's like you can't make a game in a genre too similar without it being a clone, and you can't make it too far left or right because then the player base can't connect with it. A happy medium has to be found, but that medium is literally thread thin, and it's extremely hard to teeter on. Now, as much as we want to put the blame on the developers, as gamers, we have to take some accountability and kind of grow up. Understand that games in the same genre will be similar. People will buy the same Nikes in 12 different colors, no problem. Eat 7 different versions of the same tomato-based pasta. Yes, I like food references. Shut up, bitch. Watch the same anime with the same plot, same character types, same storyline, etc. All with no problem. But let a dev make an FPS shooter with domination and it's, uh-oh, here we go with the COD clones. We have Black Ops 6 at home. Have you seen the Battlefield 6 numbers? I think we'll stick to Battlefield. Make it make sense. But that's it for me. Let me know, what do you think of this whole inspiration versus clone bullshit in the comments? Like and subscribe to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.